Thank you and good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I want to take a few moments today to update the public on the Toronto Police Service's preparations for Al Quds Day, scheduled to take place this Saturday, March the 14th. As with any large-scale event in our city, the public will notice an increased police presence in and around the areas where these activities are expected to occur. Torontonians should also be aware that there may be temporary road closures or disruptions in parts of the downtown core while this event is underway. It's beginning at approximately noon on Saturday. Our priority, as always, is to ensure the safety of everyone involved, including the participants, counter-protesters, residents, visitors, and our officers. Our Major Incident Command Center will be activated to support this event, allowing us to monitor developments in real time and coordinate resources as needed. We are also working closely with our municipal, provincial, and federal partners, as well as our intelligence partners, to monitor any potential risks and ensure that we are prepared to respond if circumstances change. During the event, our police liaison team will be present to communicate with organizers and participants to help reduce tensions and support a safe environment where people can express their views lawfully and peacefully. In Canada, people have the right to assemble and to express their opinions. Those rights are fundamental. However, at the same time, everyone must respect the law. Toronto police are present at these gatherings to maintain public order, facilitate crowd safety, and ensure that people can exercise their rights. We also want to be clear that interfering with our officers, obstructing police duties, or engaging in violence will not be tolerated. Anyone who engages in criminal behavior can expect that the law will be enforced swiftly and decisively. It should also be noted that there will be restricted airspace above and around the United States consulate this weekend, I think for obvious reasons. This restriction applies to all drone operations, including those people operating micro-drones. We are asking everyone who plans to attend, whether they are participating in the event or protesting it, to do so lawfully and respectfully. We also recognize that this year's event is taking place during a time of heightened geopolitical tensions. Developments in the Middle East, including recent military actions involving Iran, have increased emotions and sensitivities within many communities here in Toronto. Within the last 2 weeks, there has been violence targeting 3 synagogues in the GTA, as well as the attack on the United States consulate on Tuesday. These incidents have heightened concerns and contributed to a greater sense of fear and unease in the city. People are watching these developments closely, and that some are feeling concerned about how these tensions play out during Saturday's event. In particular, there are concerns about the potential for hateful rhetoric, as well as the possibility of confrontation between individuals or groups with opposing views. I want to be clear, the Toronto Police Service take all reports of hate very seriously. Our members will be present throughout the demonstration, and we will be actively monitoring for any incidents involving hate speech, hate-motivated crimes, hateful signage, or the display of symbols associated with terrorist organizations as designated by the Government of Canada. Any reported incident will be investigated, and it's important to remember that charges do not have to be immediate. Evidence gathered during or after an event can lead to charges being laid hours, days, or even weeks later. Anyone who engages in criminal activity should expect correction to be held accountable. Toronto is one of the most diverse cities in the world. People here hold a wide range of views and beliefs. Our shared responsibility is to ensure that our city remains safe, respectful, and welcoming for everyone. Thank you.
London decided to cancel Al Quds Day. Why is it that you're not making a similar request to the City of Toronto?
Well, thank you for that. I've been actually following those developments for several days now. There are some important distinctions between here and London. First of all, the Metropolitan Police in London have not canceled the event. They've canceled the march associated to the event out of fears of counter-protest groups and the actual protest group itself becoming involved in violent exchanges on the parade route. So therefore, the parade has been canceled, or the march has been canceled, but the actual event has not been canceled. And to add, there is a different legislative framework in the United Kingdom versus here. However, rest assured that we do have lots of authorities that we can rely on should things get out of hand here, as well as lots of resources to deal with it.
How concerned are you, however, given shots were fired at the U.S. consulate, which is where the protest is going to be taking place outside?
Well, we're very concerned, obviously, given recent events. However, I'm very confident in the plan that we've developed for Saturday's event. We have a robust plan with a significant number of resources, both uniform, specialist, and non-uniform officers. So, as I said, I am confident that we have sufficient measures in place to handle whatever may occur.
You've already increased security around the U.S. consulate. So what will it look like on Saturday? Is there a difference in personnel, numbers, resources? Can you give us a picture?
Well, I'm not going to get too much into operations for reasons of security. However, we have stepped up our resources around the United States consulate. We do have a specific plan in place for Saturday to protect the U.S. consulate, and I will leave it at that for now. But
any resentment from officers that could be put in a situation like this when there is this kind of heightened security risk that can't just cancel something like this? I mean, is there a resentment amongst the rank and file?
That's why we're here. No resentment whatsoever. People understand that's their job, to protect the community, and this is just part of the job. So the answer is no, I've not detected any, but I would emphasize that it is our job to be there.
Are organizers cooperating with the police?
Yes, they are. Our police liaison teams have been working with the event organizer for several weeks now, and we are in communication with them on a daily basis.
Are you worried about counter-protests?
Worried, no, but we are aware that the counter-protests will be present, and there are measures in place to keep the groups, first of all, to establish separation and maintain that separation between the groups to ensure no violent clashes occur.
Do you have any idea or predictions as to how many people will show up? Last year, we understand there were 3,000. Do you know how many people you're expecting this time?
Well, our initial estimates were around 3,000 again, but given the geopolitical tensions and the situation around the world, we anticipate there may be a few more, but our resource planning and deployment strategy will account for any additional numbers that may show up.
Any other questions?
The Solicitor General did put out a statement as well, Ontario Solicitor General, saying no acts of anti-Semitism, hate, promotion of terrorist ideologies will be tolerated. How difficult is it to, in real time during a protest like this, for the Toronto Police to determine if protesters are exhibiting hate speech, threatening behavior? How quickly can Toronto Police act and enforce laws that are designed to dissuade that sort of behavior?
Right. Well, as I said, we have lots of resources, both uniform and plain clothes. Obviously, we have to witness things, but we would invite the public, if they become aware of any evidence of hateful messaging, symbols of terrorism, terrorist entities, anything like that, to please find one of the police officers who should be close by, inform them, and we'll investigate it. But I'll turn this over to Superintendent Prentice from our intelligence unit for further comment.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'll just top up a little bit on what Superintendent Young has said. At this particular protest, as with many other protests in the city, we have dedicated hate crime unit specialists who are experts in hate crime laws and terrorism laws. They're deployed on the ground resources that will be able to provide guidance and support for the officers that are out there enforcing the laws. They also have very close connections with the Ministry of Attorney General and able to get Crown consults happening very quickly in order to set the context for what they're seeing, what the evidence that they've collected so far, so they can make decisions in a little bit more real time.
Last question. Last question.
Yeah, we get contacted very frequently about hate speech at protests such as this, and we would have complaints continually that police aren't doing anything about it when there are death threats or calls to harm certain groups. So if you've got people feeling that way, feeling like you're not doing enough of a job to police this, what kind of reassurance can you give them at this point that this is going to be any different? Because I'm also trying to figure out how many people have actually been convicted in many of these cases that have actually faced charges. What are the conviction rates, and what can you do to reassure people?
So thank you for the question. I think that is important, because I think what you're talking about is the community feeling safe and feeling that we're able to address hate crime and hate speech specifically. What I can say is that hate speech specifically is extremely complex. It requires a lot of evidence. It requires evidence that not only includes what is said, what is shown, any banners. It includes the context of the protest under which that was shown. And that just does, those are not easy issues to resolve in the moment. But certainly, like Superintendent Young had said earlier, even if we don't take that action in the moment because we need time to reflect and consult with the Crowns, sometimes it's more than one consult to really understand and collect all that evidence, then we'll come back and certainly lay those charges after the fact.
Convictions have resulted